right. Well, hey, welcome everybody to Control Alt Achieve Live for December 5th, 2022. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you're watching this live or if you're watching or listening to a recording later. I appreciate you taking the time to be with me here. Before we get started, as always, we've got links for you to explore and a link to get you to those. So if you have not at the moment pulled up this document, you can go to bit.ly/CAA live, and that'll bring you to this document. And then if you scroll down to page 2 of the document, that's where you're going to see the EdTech links for this week. As usual, we've got several from around the web and several from my blog. So I'll give you a moment to get that pulled up and get that settled in. And while you're doing that, quick introduction. So hi, everybody. My name is Eric Kurtz. I'm an EdTech coach in Northeast Ohio, and I run the website Control Alt Achieve. I would encourage you to check that out. That's where I share all of my EdTech resources there. And I do have quite a number of links at the top of our shared document here. If you do want to get in touch with me, there's a link to my blog, or you can email me, Twitter, YouTube. If you have not yet joined our email discussion group, I've got a link up there to do that. I've got lots of great discussion going there between hundreds and hundreds of great educators from all around. You can also sign up for my weekly email newsletter. I've got that linked in. I send that out once a week. Just sent that out earlier this morning. And then I've got a link to my book and the Google Educator Group of Ohio, which we're actually going to talk about a little bit more later on. And finally, a link to my PD catalog with over 60 sessions to choose from if you decide you'd like me to come someday to your school or conference and do some training or speaking. So that's a little bit about me there at the top of that document, but I want to hear from you guys. And so I want to always say, please do feel free to comment throughout this session. No obligation, but I would love for you to do so. So there's lots of ways to leave feedback. You can, of course, type in the chat of whatever streaming service you're using. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can type into the live chat there. I do have another screen over here where I can try to monitor those comments as they come in. So please feel free to ask questions, share your own resources, or something excites you and you want to share how you might use it. I would love to hear from you. Now, you can also comment right in this document. I've got commenting turned on for this document. So if you want to leave a comment in the document, that's fine as well. And then finally, I do have a Google form that I've linked in here. And this Google form just gives you another way to send in a comment or a question or whatever, optional if you want to put your name in there. I've got that open on another screen as well. And I'll keep an eye on that to see if anything comes in that way. But again, definitely encourage you to share throughout the session if you would like to. All right. Well, hopefully that gave you time to get the document pulled up and to get all settled in. Again, if anybody is joining us still, that is bit.ly/CAA-live. That'll always get you to this document. Scroll on down to page 2 where we're going to begin diving into our links for this week. Now, keep in mind, it does have links for all the other weeks as well. So if you want to catch up on some previous weeks and explore those are all linked in there as well. But we're going to go ahead and dive right into this tonight with our links for the week of December 5th. Excellent. All right, well, let's get going. So first off, I'm going to share some things that I've come across on the web around the last week. Some of these I came across, others I was reading a blog, others somebody asked a question about it in our email group. Whatever the case, these kind of surfaced and caught my attention. We've got 5 of these to go through here tonight. So the first one is the Jerry Lawson History and Game Making Tool. I know that's not really the name of it, but I was trying to give a description that might work better. Let's head out to the site and I'll explain what I'm talking about here. So this is actually a Google Doodle, but it's one of those interactive doodles. And it's really cool. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and I always forget to do this. I'm going to turn off the banner so I'm not covering that up. And I'm going to go ahead and just put the screen up and I'll hide myself there. One of these days, I'll remember to do that a little bit earlier. Maybe that'll be somebody's job in the chat. They'll tell me, hey, Eric, turn off your camera. That might be a good thing. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about what this is. So this is This is a doodle from Google, which means that it's one of those. Well, we all know what a Google Doodle is. It's one of those images they put up on the Google website to commemorate different holidays and things that are happening as special events. Well, they did one recently for Jerry Lawson. Now, Jerry Lawson, this would have been his 82nd birthday. He passed away a while ago. But the thing about him was he was one of the very first Black engineers to work in the video game industry, and hasn't gotten a lot of press about it over the years. And so really excited to see Google honoring him this way. And they got a really nice write-up about him. Where this gets really neat, though, of course, is the fact that this is an interactive doodle. So this would be great if you're going to be doing some work with STEM or STEAM with your students. You want to talk about video games and creating video games, because if we head on into this, if we go into this, you will see, whoop, there we go. It's already running. Let me get back to here. There we go. I must have already had that on. So this brings up the games. And so there are 5 different games you can play. You notice there was a breakout game. Then there's also a lot of platformers and jumpers and games like that. So there's 5 games that they've designed for this. But they've also got up here in the top left a tutorial that you can go through that teaches you how the games work here. Let's turn off the extra audio there for a second. These teach you how the games work, and they also teach you about Jerry's life. So it's a chance for you to learn about him while you're coming in here and learning how these different games work. And so you're going to teach us the different keys and so forth that we've got to use. Now, all that's cool. I love all that. I love that we get the history about him. I love that you can play any of these games. Just give a click on these and say you want to play that game, and boom, there you are. And I played several of these just to test them out, and they really are clever. They've done some really neat things with each of these different themes that they've worked on. But here's where I get really excited. You can make your own. This has a full-fledged game designer built into it. So if a student comes here and clicks on the plus button here to create a game, they get a blank game screen. They can zoom out, zoom in, make this as big as they need it to. And here they can add in their characters or paddles or bouncy balls. They can add in different types of blocks, breakable blocks, pushable blocks, fire. They can have different power-ups. They can have different enemies. We can have keys and dungeons and so forth. Oh my gosh, so many awesome things, switches, and then we got different themes that we can jump between. And so there's that butterfly theme or the ice cream theme. And you can build a game, and it's a totally playable game. And not only is it playable, but it's shareable. When you're all done building it, if I actually built a game here, I could click on this share link and I would get a shareable link that I could give to other people, and they could play my game. So what a neat way for students to learn about such an important person in video game history, but in technology in general, but then to also have some fun playing some games, and then above all of that, to then go in and design your own game and be able to share it with others. I thought, that's pretty nifty. I know I would have loved that as a kid. Actually, I love it right now. If I can just find time to build a game, I would love to do that. So that was the first one I wanted to share with you guys, was the Google Doodle about Jerry Lawson, his history, and the game making tool. I see we've got a comment here saying that is very cool for the kids to design their own game. And I agree. I'm absolutely there with you. All right, well, let's keep on going. Up next, we have the Arithmetic Game. Okay, so let me give you the backstory on this one. So this one was actually a question. There was a question posed in the Control-Alt-Achieve email discussion group. Somebody asked this last week, hey, I'm looking for something online, some website, some tool that will let the students practice their math facts. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, that kind of stuff. But it's got to be simple, just something simple that doesn't have a bunch of hoops to jump through, that doesn't cost money, that's just simple, free, easy, whatever the case might be. And we got a lot of great suggestions. So thank you to everybody in the Control-Alt-Achieve email discussion group who is sharing great suggestions. Well, this one came through. And this one is, let me see, this one was from Tolly Lerner. So thank you so much. Oh, it's Tolly or Tally. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but I wanted to give her credit for sharing this with us. And it's the Arithmetic Game. And it checks all those boxes. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better, because otherwise it'll be hard to see there. It checks all, well, literally checks all the boxes, doesn't it? But what I mean is it does all the things. It covers addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You can set your limits, which is one of the things that in the original email had been a request to be able to set the different limits. So I might say, let's just keep this, 2 to 10 just for this example. We'll just keep it really simple so that I don't sit here staring at a screen trying to figure out a math problem. We can also set, how much time we want to spend. And then that's it. You basically hit start. And of course I could uncheck if I only wanted to work on my multiplication, if I just wanted to work on subtraction. But that's it. We go ahead and hit start. And it really is as simple as that. Now, as I type these in, if I type in the right answer, it counts it as right. Now, if I don't type in the right answer, if I thought that was division and I put in a 2, it's not going to take that. So I'm like, oh no, that was subtraction. That's an 8. And so as I go through this, I'm going to, try to, as a student, do this as fast as I can. And hopefully what they're going to do then is they could keep track of their score each time to say for 30 seconds, how far did I get? We're just going to be about out of time here. Yep. I don't know if I'll get one more in. That's okay. I got 9. And so they could then, see what their score was, try again with those same settings, or change the settings. Straightforward, simple, nothing complicated about it. But I think sometimes that's perfect. I was really excited about that. That's perfect for a tech tool, and seemed like it was one that really did match the need. So I was happy to share that with you guys. All right, let's keep on going. So next we're going to talk about GZM Classroom. Okay, so what does GZM stand for? Well, it stands for Gen Z Media. But what this is a totally free, and everything I share is free. I think that's usually the case. If it's not, I'll let you guys know. Typically, it's always free stuff that I'm trying to find and share. And this is true. This is also very free stuff. So what this is a wonderful website where they create free serialized audio dramas and other shows that are aimed mostly at middle grade students. So sometimes I see it says podcasts up here. And so, yes, you can listen to these as a podcast. I'm just always cautious. I don't want people to think, oh, I have to subscribe to a podcast. Actually, you can listen to these like 5 different ways, but I think that's a term that we throw around a lot. So maybe people are just thinking, well, podcast is an easy way to say it. Nevertheless, what these are audio dramas. And so if you look down, you'll see they've got all these different shows. There's 6 Minutes, and we've got Mars Patel, we've got The Hollow, we've got Treasure Island 2020. And then if you hover above these, you'll see like the one 6 Minutes. There are 204 episodes of this. So this is a very long running show. Now, some of them don't have as many episodes, but many of them do have a good amount. Now, they've got other shows besides the serialized dramas. They've got some that are more I believe some of these are more like game shows. Yeah. So like that's the Big Fib is a game show. Nice to Meet You is more of an improv type of a show. But a lot of these are serialized shows. And so what you can do is come in and say, oh, let's do this one. An 11-year-old with no memory discovers she has incredible abilities. Mystery, adventure, and science fiction. Awesome. So let's go in and we'll pull that up. Now, at this point, we can get a lot more detail about it. So we got a nice synopsis here as to, how this would be, what this would fit into. Well, they're talking about it's been widely adopted in the 3rd through 5th and 6th through 8th grade levels as part of ELA curriculum. So as we go down, we can see that I could play this right here on the webpage. I don't have to subscribe to a podcast. I could just come here and say, I want to play this episode and just play it right through the web browser. Or yeah, I could, pull it in through one of the podcasting apps. That's fine too. Or you can also click on their YouTube link here, because then every single episode is also a YouTube video, which means you could turn on the YouTube closed captions and you could turn on the translation if you wanted, or you could use the tool from last week. What was it? I couldn't remember how to pronounce it. It was Glot Dojo or Glow Dojo. That one. That could put the translations in 3 different sets. The transcripts could be translated 3 different ways. So that's so cool that all of these are available. in all those different formats. But that's not it. It doesn't stop there. So in addition to providing this high quality, totally free, awesome audio dramas that are serialized in nice little chunks for students, they've also got classroom resources. So there's a listening guide, there's an explore board, there's a choice board, and these are real high quality. I believe, I hope I'm not saying it wrong, but I believe Lisa Highfill was the one who designed these. This was given to me. I was made aware of this site by Donnie Piercy, so I'll give Donnie a shout out here at the end of this. But I believe he said that Lisa Highfill was the one who designed these, and Lisa she's awesome. She's amazing. She's a phenomenal language arts teacher. And so anything that she would design, I think would just be absolutely the best. And so there you go. There's this, nice, fully developed digital listening guide for the students to complete as they go through this as well. I mean, this is big. There's a lot of stuff in here. So that's fantastic. Just all of these resources, totally free, available through GZM, Gen Z Media Classroom, and be excited to see if folks try some of these out. If anybody has listened to these before, please let me know. I'd love to hear your take on it. But again, I do want to give a big thanks to Donnie Piercy. And I have to mention, he was 2021 Kentucky Teacher of the Year. So Donnie is an amazing teacher and definitely warrants that award. But I always like to throw that out there as well. So thanks to Donnie for sharing that. All right, good stuff. Let's keep on going. So what's our next one? Now, the next two, I guarantee I'm going to mispronounce. Maybe if I say I'm not going to mispronounce them, maybe I won't, but I'm afraid I'm going to. This one's Tumber, like Tumber. See, there I go. I'm already doing it. I think it's Tumber, like number. I think I'm going to say Tumblr a lot, just like the next one, Metroverse. I think I'm going to say Metaverse because it's like Tumblr and Metaverse, but it's not. It's Tumber and Metroverse are the next two. So I'll do my best. We'll see how well I do. So Tumber, as in number, is a Chrome extension. So the way I came across this one, initially I saw a post by Jen Hall. Love Jen Hall. She shares so many great things. I hope that you're signed up to get her updates and all the great things that she shares. She had included in one of her recent link suggestions a similar Chrome extension that did what this one did. And I tried it out, and then went down a rabbit hole. I tried out like 10 more of them that did the same thing. I ended up actually thinking this one was my favorite of the batch. So this is the one I'm recommending. So what is Tumber? Well, what it does is quite simply, it puts tab numbers on Google Chrome. So if you look in Google Chrome, you've got tabs across the top of the screen, of course. And this extension will number them for you. So let's just turn it on and I'll explain why you might do this. Although I'd be curious to think what ideas you have about why you might do this as well. But here's the idea. If I come up here to my Tumber extension, and I can right click up there to turn it on as well, or I can just right click on the page as well. That'll do it. But if I come up here and I go to the extension, I have the option to toggle all of my tabs. And so I'm going to say, let's toggle all of my tabs. Now, what you're going to notice is this tab is now 1. You say, Eric, why isn't this one have a number on it? Well, remember how the Chrome Web Store always says like Chrome extensions can't run on the web store. So yeah, unfortunately, that's not going to get a number just because you can't use an extension on the thing you get extensions from. So that's just the way it is. This one's got a number 3. This one's got a 4. This one's got a 5. This one's got a 6. And so what it's doing is it's putting numbers in front of those. So why would we want something like that done in the first place? Well, a couple of reasons. One is there are some keyboard shortcuts. So when you're using Chrome, you can press on a Windows device or a Chromebook Control and the numbers 1 through 8. And that'll jump you to that tab. On a Mac, I believe it's Command and 1 through 8. So like if I wanted to go to the Control Alt Achieve tab, that's tab 5. I guess I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if I'm like a real keyboard person, I don't have to try to count that. I can see that is Control 5. Boom, I'm right there. Or Control 3 gets me back to Gen Z Media. Control 6, now I'm over to the forum. Now, I'm a mouse person, so I probably wouldn't use that a lot. I typically just use my mouse, but I know some people really do use a lot of keyboard shortcuts, and that's nice to have those numbers out in front. Another thing, though, could just be nice, just for the student to be able to communicate better. Well, which tab, which tab am I trying to, direct you to? Here, take a look at, tab number 4, tab number 3. So just for the student's own organization, having those numbered could be beneficial for them. Now, it only goes up to 8, though, because the control shortcuts for jumping to a tab only go up through 8. So if you get more than 8, they're just blank. There's no numbers after that. But I thought, hey, that's cool. What a nice way to be able to have all of that. Maria said, do the numbers change as the tabs are closed? And so, Maria, yes, that's something I liked about this. So like if I come here to the Gen Z Media, that's 3 right now. If I close out of that, notice how these updated immediately to 3, 4, and 5. A lot of the other extensions didn't do that. They would number them, but then they weren't good about keeping it going live. Or if I grab this and I move it to the end, well, now these are 2, 3, 4, so it's really responsive. Like it's on the ball getting those updated, which I did not see that happen as much with some of the other extensions. Now, it does have a few other little cute features to it. If I go back up to Tumber, I can also toggle everything back off, of course. And then I can do what's called self-destruct. Well, with that, what it's going to do is it's going to number them, but it's only going to do it temporarily. So if I have self-destruct turned on, now anytime, because I've got self-destruct turned on, if I say toggle them all on, you'll see they appear on, but they're not going to stay. Within a few seconds, they're going to disappear and they're gone. See, as quickly as that. That's because I had self-destruct turned on. So that's if you're saying, listen, I only want to pop this on every now and then, and I don't need it to stay on. Now, you may also say, well, Eric, what's the difference between that and toggle on versus toggle current? I could have just been doing toggle current. This is per window. So this means toggle the current window. I don't have another window open for this, so that wouldn't make a difference. But toggle all does all the windows that you have open, and current is just the one window you're currently in. That's it, but pretty nifty little Chrome extension there. So I was glad to see that. All right, and that brings us to the last of the links that I came across on the web, and then we'll move into some things from my blog. So the last one, if that was not Tumblr, but was Tumber, this is Metroverse, not Metaverse. And so what this is a website where you can learn about cities. This is from Harvard. You can learn about the economic data and comparisons of different cities. So this is a little bit more deep into the pool. This is some heavier stuff. So this is going to be older students that are studying economics, or they're diving deeper into studying what makes certain cities succeed and others are struggling, and which cities are similar if they want to do a study between one city and another. So here's the way it works. What you do is you start by saying, I want to pick a city. Okay. You can see they've got hundreds and hundreds of cities all around the world. Well, what you can do is you can, of course, type things in, click on things, whatever. I'm just going to come up here to where I live. I live up in Northeast Ohio. And my actual town is not on here. I'm more in this dark area over here. But North Canton and Akron and Cleveland are all pretty close to me. I'll just grab Akron. It's actually probably the closest of the 3 to me. So I'm going to click on Akron. And now that I've done this, I can explore the profile of Akron, or I can explore similar cities. So let's do both. Let's say we want to explore the profile. Well, that's going to give me now a profile of Akron. And you see this, these links on the left. I can go through all these different items. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't understand all of them. It gets into some pretty heavy economics stuff, but it's pretty neat. So I have a city overview with population and the GDP, their rankings, top knowledge clusters, most intense industries, et cetera, et cetera. Then I can start working my way down to be like, okay, so what is the economic composition of my city? How is it broken down? Well, wow, Akron, mostly hospitals. I'm not surprised. Hospitals, then educational services. I'm not surprised by that, but you can see all these clusters as they start to break down. We can also see how we compare to similar cities as far as, do we have greater representation of some of these industries or a a smaller representation. So we seem to be having a pretty good representation for wholesale electronic marketing and so forth. But then there's other things that we do not have as much of a high representation of, and on down through here. So again, I'm not going to pretend I understand every one of these graphs, but down to the very bottom, I think this is a pretty cool one. This one's talking about what are the growth opportunities. And so what you see are which of these areas are you stronger than your peers or weaker than your peers? And which of these do you have a greater relative presence, like that's already happening, versus a smaller economic presence? You're not really, this does not make up much of the economy there. And it says this quadrant then is your opportunity. These are things that you've got. You're stronger than your peers with technology. You've got the stuff, but you're not showing it. And so it's like, oh, we could be doing stuff in, what do we have here? Funds, trusts, and other financial vehicles, data processing. We've got management of companies and enterprises. We've got computer and electronic product manufacturing. So there's all these different areas that, well, maybe this is something that city should look into. Now, with all that said, we can also go to the link at the top to get similar cities. And I thought this was neat too. If you said, okay, pick a city and then do a side-by-side comparison between it and some other city, well, how do you know where to start? Well, what this can do is that this can at least give us a comparison by population and GDP. So if I bump my population range, so it's really tight, so it's just things just above and below Akron's, and I move the GDP per capita, so again, it's just right up to Akron, and it's right above Akron. So I'm going to try to get this as close as I can. So I haven't given much space here. I've really tightened it in. But now I can see, look at that. There's a bunch of cities. We've got things like, it looks like Santa Clarita. We've got Reno. Let's see, Fargo. Appleton. I was in Appleton. There we go. So Appleton is a sister city of us, and so this could give you some ability to now start pulling these cities up and saying, okay, now I'm going to start comparing these cities and say, that they're very similar, but what makes them different and so forth. So anyway, again, probably not something for younger students, but I thought for economics, for a social studies class, for math as well, this could be an interesting one to explore. All right, good stuff. So guys, that gets us to the end of the 5 things that I wanted to share from around the web. We're going to now pivot into the things that I have been putting on my blog recently. Again, please feel free to share any questions you have as we go through this. If you've got any questions, you can drop them in the chat. You can drop them in the form. You can drop them in the comments here, whatever works for you guys as we go. All right, let's talk about some things I had to share. So the first one is I just kicked off the 12 days of Chromemas today. So you may remember me mentioning that last week. Today was the first day of it, and today's was on pinning tabs. You may say, well, first of all, what is Chromemas? So yeah, Chromemas is all about Google Chrome. And so this is that blog post from last week explaining what it is, that it's 12 days where each day I'm going to share a cool tip about Google Chrome. So today was day 1, and we talked about pinning tabs. So each of these are going to be pretty small. These aren't going to be large posts because it's, one per day over 12 days. And so like the videos are like 3, 4, 5 minutes long. They're pretty short videos. In this case, I'm just looking at one feature, which is pinning tabs in Chrome. So I've got a video, and then I've got some directions and images to show you as well. So here's the gist of it. Basically, pinning allows you to take a tab and first of all, make it smaller and also make it non-closable. So for example, let's say while I was doing this tonight, what if I was like, you know what? I'm afraid I'm going to be clicking so much, I'm going to accidentally close out of this agenda document. And then I'm like, oh no, I've got to get back to it. And I'm going to lose precious time as I'm trying to reopen that agenda document. Well, if I said, you know what? I don't want to lose this tab. I want this tab just to be there and no danger of me accidentally Xing out of it. Well, all you have to do is come up and right click on the tab and choose pin. And when you do that, boop, there it goes. Notice it became smaller. So when it's smaller, it's taking up less space, which is nice, but also it's smaller, so it doesn't have an X. There's nowhere to close out of it. I couldn't close out of it if I wanted to. So I encourage you, if you're doing a PD, if you're in a training, and there's an important, document or important, agenda or file or whatever the case is, pin it and then don't worry about it. Just pin it and forget about it. I know that doesn't rhyme, but there you go. But there you go. And then now, if I accidentally close out of other things, that's fine. This tab is not going to be able to get closed out of. That's also true if you close out of Chrome entirely. Like if I exit out of the entire thing, like completely close out of Chrome, when I reopen Chrome, all these other tabs would be gone, but the pinned tab would still be there. Now, if I want to unpin it, no worries. I can just right click on it and say unpin, and it's back to normal. Now you can pin as many tabs as you want. Say, let's pin that one. And maybe I also wanted to pin, just my blog or something like that. That's fine. You could pin as many things as you want over here, and they all just go over to the far left and they stay nice and small until you're ready to unpin them. Seeing some comments pop up here about this. Eileen says, I love to know how to pin tabs now. Great day one. Oh, I'm glad that was valuable for you. That's great. Andy says, one great thing I love with pinning tabs is showing the number of unread messages in Gmail. It can be pinned and still show me a number. Oh, that's so cool, Andy. I love that. See, that's the beauty of all of this. It's always learning from each other. And so I love that idea of, so I can probably pull up this is not my personal Gmail. This is my training Gmail. So that there won't be any personal messages here. Let's go ahead and pin that. And then it's probably going to be cleared out because I just opened it. Oh, I see what you're saying though. But if a new message came in, I got you. If a new message came in, then it would pop up the number there. Yeah, well, I just opened it. So obviously I just cleared out that. But having it be real small like that, yes, that would be a great way to be able to see that. Oh, that's great, Andy. I really appreciate that. Thanks for sharing. All right. Well, I will go ahead and unpin these things, and I can actually close out of that, unpin that, and unpin. You know what? I'm just going to leave ours pinned because we're going to be safe. All right. Let's keep going. And by the way, do check out the rest of Chrome Mess. It started today, bit.ly/ChromeMess22, or any of these links will get you there. I am posting one new thing each day, not consecutively. It's 4 days this week, 4 days next week, and 4 days the last week. It does take a little bit of time to put these things together. So I'm trying to give myself a little breathing room in between each batch. But if you just keep coming back to the Chromest page, you'll see all of those blog posts as they come in. You can also click on the interactive image and you'll see that this bulb is shining bright because it is now a link. The others are not. So this one is now clickable, and that gets you to the pinning tabs one. And I'll continue to make all of these clickable as we go. All right. Good stuff. Well, let's keep on going. What else did I share recently? Now, I mentioned this last week, but I did get it all posted up now. So I just wanted to draw attention to my Googley Wintertime activities. This is a collection of blog posts and activities and stuff that I've done over years, but I took some time and updated everything. Sometimes, the instructions get old, the menus change. And so I went through and I made sure everything was up to date. And so if you're looking for some activities to do with wintertime approaching and you want to be something for your students to have fun with, but still also be able to be creative and to practice creative writing and learn some content area skills, hopefully these will help serve that. So it's things like the famous Build a Snowman activity where you're creating a snowman in Google Slides and writing about them, or Decorate a Holiday Tree, which again, you're decorating this in Google Slides and then you're writing about it. So very, very similar activities there. Or it's things like the Wintertime Magnetic Poetry with Google Drawings, where you're dragging and dropping words onto the canvas in Google Drawings to make a poem. Or it's Holiday Greeting Cards with Google Drawings, where you take a template from Google Drawings that I've created and you make a holiday greeting card out of that. I'm sure this was probably something. So I always forget what I put on here because, okay, it wasn't too punny. It says 'twas the night before Christmas and everyone was on their phones. All right, not too bad. Usually it's a very bad pun, and I couldn't remember what I had put on that one before. Next up, the 12 Days of Christmas Guided Sheets Math Activity. Now this one's from last year. I just created this one last year, and this one I think it's a little bit of a newer thing that I've been trying to do more of, these kind of activities. I did one with Skittles as well this year, and basically when I call it a guided activity, what I mean is I'll just open, it'd probably be easier if I just open this up so you can see. But what I mean is what it does is it guides the students through a learning activity. So basically what they're doing is they're going to go through the 12 days of Christmas and they're going to build a chart as they go through the 12 days of Christmas. They're going to put the data in, then from the data, they're going to build a chart. But the way it works is as they go down through this talks them through every single step along the way. And so anything that's in red is directions. Anything that is in blue is where they can write stuff in. And then they also have spots to get help or to get an answer. So, for example, I could say, how could you calculate the total for each type of present? Well, they can type in their answer here. But if they need some help, they can check here. And what that'll do is it will reveal, hey, okay, well, you could use the sum function. That would allow you to calculate the total for all the presents in that column. Here's Google's help guide on that. Do you still need help? Okay, here's the answer. So the formula would be this, and then you can use that formula elsewhere. And so the idea was to make it a little bit more guided so they can do it with as much help or as little help as they need. And when it's all done, basically, they have filled out the total number of presents for every gift and every day, and then they made a chart, they made a graph out of it, and they've found the averages and all kinds of stuff. So it's a really neat math activity for them to do. Next up, I've got pixel art ornaments with Google Sheets. So basically using my Google Sheets pixel art tool to create ornaments. Now you can have a fun math activity with it too. After they create the ornament, they can then count up how many of each color they used and then reduce that down to a fraction in lowest terms. Next up, the Wintertime emoji rebus stories in Google Docs. This uses emojis along with text. So the students write a story, but then they add emojis in as well to make a rebus story. And then the last one is holiday lights writing. So for this one, basically what you're doing is you're writing up like, what do you like to do over wintertime? Or what's your, how do you celebrate the holidays? Or what's a great memory from, past years at this time of year, whatever the case is. But what makes it fun is you use an add-on called Fun Text. And that add-on allows you to either randomly or in a rainbow pattern apply color to your letters. And then what you can do is you can leave them just like that. That's great. You can have this cool, like holiday light, text. Or you could copy and paste them into this slideshow template I have. And you could even do multiple slides and change the color each time and look like the letters are twinkling, I guess. That'd be kind of cool. There you go. I think that's, I don't know if that one, yep, it's moving. There it is. You can see how the colors are changing because it's multiple slides that I've put together in a loop there. So anyway, that's just a whole bunch of wintertime activities. I hope those are valuable for folks. And I think that brings me to my last thing I was going to share, which was last week we had our Google Educator Group meeting. And I haven't had a chance to talk about these in our links of the week yet, I don't believe. So I'm going to give a shout out to it this time. And in the future, I might just do a quick reminder of it. But once a month, we have the Google Educator Group of Ohio meeting, which is a virtual meeting. Usually lasts about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and it's done as a live stream. We just did the one for November. We always do it at the end of the month. Well, typically the end of the month. So this was it's like usually the last Wednesday of the month. And what this is a meeting where we cover everything new in Google from the last month, because Google's always changing. There's so many new things. And so we cover all the new updates, all the new releases, all the new things in Google. But then we also just cover, we share cool things we've come across. And there's a Q&A section as well. So I want to get this on your radar. If you're saying, well, Eric, this is the Google Educator Group of Ohio. I'm not from Ohio. Listen, anybody is welcome to take part in these as long as you love using Google in schools. You're the right person. So you can certainly join us live, but many people that time may not work for them. So it is recorded. So you can pull up the video here because it is such a long video. I do this with almost all my videos. If you go directly to YouTube, and I'll pause this so it doesn't actually play. There you go. And if you go down and you click the show more section, you'll see that I put in timestamps, and that lets you jump to the different parts of the video. So if there's a specific thing you wanted to jump to, you could jump to that part of the video. We've also got an agenda document that goes along with each meeting that covers everything in the meeting, and it is editable up through the meeting. Now it's just got comment rights on because that meeting's over. But we cover all of the upcoming events, everything that's new in Google, all the show and tell items, and the Q&A section. So anyway, I just want you to be aware that that exists. If you would like to watch this live in the future, you can always do that at the GEG Ohio website. I do have a link in here to that at the top. On that site, you'll see we have our monthly meetings linked in. And we are not doing one in December. We just had the November one. So we're skipping December. And then in January, it's going to be a little bit earlier than normal. It's going to be January 18th. But after that, mostly the end of the month from there on out. But these links will always be there for you to jump into the agenda and watch the live video, or you can always just catch my recording afterwards as well. Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, that gets me to the end of all of the resources that I was going to share this week. I'm going to go ahead and put myself back on the screen. There I am. Hey, everybody. So as we start to wrap up here, first of all, one more call. If anybody has something to share, if you've got a resource, a question, a comment, please feel free to do that now. I'm checking the Google form, checking everything to see if I got any questions. As we start to wrap up, just want to remind you that you can always get to our EdTech links of the week at bit.ly/CAA-live. And our next one would be, again, Monday nights at 7 p.m. So that would be December 12th. So next Monday, I'll update all of this after this meeting. I'll change this to December 12th, and I'll put in the appropriate links for that. But I just appreciate you guys so much for joining me here tonight. I learned some new things. I hope you were inspired and learned some new things as well. So thanks everybody so much, and I will see you next week. Take care, everyone.